In 1941, the emergence of advanced Soviet tanks such as the T-34 and KV series came as a profound shock to Nazi Germany's forces, exposing serious shortcomings in their anti-tank weaponry. Towed anti-tank guns in early Panzerjäger models like the Marder often proved inadequate, with open fighting compartments, thin armor, or insufficient mobility to match the pace of advancing panzer divisions. In particular, encounters with T-34s armed with powerful 76.2mm guns and revolutionary sloped armor highlighted the obsolescence of German anti-tank vehicles and tactics. The conclusion of the Battle of Stalingrad in early 1943 further underscored the urgent need for more survivable self-propelled anti-tank guns with greater firepower and the capability to effectively engage the numerically superior and increasingly well-equipped Soviet armored forces. Heavy losses and the failure to destroy Soviet tanks demanded a new approach, one that moved beyond stopgap solutions such as mounting large guns on outdated tank chassis. Alongside the development of the Jagdpanzer IV, Germany was forced to shift towards more integrated and specialized designs to respond swiftly to the evolving tank warfare on the Eastern Front. The Jagdpanzer IV L-48 was armed with the 7.5cm Pan-Terzer Abwehr Kanone 39 L-48 gun, featuring a barrel length 48 times its caliber, a compromise from the initially planned more powerful Pan-Terzer Abwehr Kanone 42 L-70. Though it did not reach the intended firepower, the gun still delivered impressive performance, particularly with an ammunition capacity of up to 79 rounds. The Jagdpanzer IV L-48 could fire various types of ammunition, including the Panzergranate 39, an armor-piercing cap ballistic cap high explosive round capable of penetrating 116mm of steel at point-blank range and 98mm at 1,200 meters, and the sub-caliber Panzergranate 40, an armor-piercing composite rigid round which could penetrate up to 140mm at close range, though its effectiveness diminished with distance. Additionally, the vehicle could use Granate 38B, a high-explosive anti-tank round capable of penetrating 80mm of armor at any range. High-explosive Granate 34 rounds and smoke Kanonengranate Rotnebel rounds were also employed for soft targets and to provide cover, enhancing battlefield versatility. The muzzle brake was often removed due to the dust clouds it created, which could reveal the vehicle's position. In terms of protection, the Jagdpanzer IV L-48 was designed with strong frontal armor. The upper glacis had 60mm of sloped armor at a 47-degree angle, while the lower glacis featured 50mm at 55 degrees. The superstructure's armor remains debated, with most sources citing 60mm sloped at 50 degrees, though some report up to 120mm of armor on the gun mantlet and cradle. After producing approximately 120 to 150 units in early 1944, the frontal armor of the superstructure was upgraded to 80mm sloped for better protection. The side armor of the hull was 30mm thick with an additional 5mm in certain areas, and the rear armor was 22mm. The superstructure had 30mm of armor on the sides and rear, while the roof of both the hull and superstructure was 20mm thick. The bottom armor ranged from 10 to 20mm depending on location. The Jagdpanzer IV L-48 was powered by the Maybach HL122 TRM engine, a water-cooled 12-cylinder gasoline engine producing between 265 and 272 horsepower. It could reach a top speed of up to 40 kilometers per hour on paved roads and maintain a speed of approximately 15 to 25 kilometers per hour on rough terrain. Its operational range was 210 kilometers on roads and around 130 kilometers off-road, supported by a fuel capacity of 470 liters. The vehicle's weight ranged from 24 to 24.7 tons, and it employed a leaf spring suspension system similar to that of the Panzer IV. Later production models reduced the number of return rollers from 4 to 3 due to a shortage of bearings. In terms of dimensions, the Jagdpanzer IV L-48 measured 6.85 meters in length, 3.17 meters in width, and just 1.86 meters in height, enhancing its concealability on the battlefield. The crew consisted of 4 men: commander, gunner, loader, and driver, one fewer than in the Panzer IV. However, the lack of a rotating turret limited visibility, with the commander relying on a periscope and the gunner using the Zelft Fahla Fittenzell for Nor 1A sight for observation and targeting. In September 1942, following intense fighting at Stalingrad, the German Army Ordnance Office, known as Waffenamt, issued a directive to develop a heavy assault gun with stringent requirements: 100 millimeters of frontal armor, 40 to 50 millimeters of side armor, wider tracks, a maximum speed of 26 kilometers per hour, and a low firing profile. The main armor was expected to be the 7.5 centimeter Panzers or Abwehr Kanonei 42 L-70 gun, the same as that mounted on the Panther tank. The goal was to create a battlefield vehicle with high survivability capable of destroying enemy tanks from concealed defensive positions. The demand for 100 millimeters of armor and a low silhouette was intended to ensure resilience against the powerful firepower of Allied and Soviet forces while enhancing concealment and ambush capabilities. These specifications reflected a shift in German military strategy. Initially, a completely new chassis was planned. However, to save time, the Panzer IV Ausführung H chassis was reused and modified. The turret was removed in favor of a thick superstructure with thicker armor and a lower profile, improving both protection and stealth. Although the Jagdpanzer IV chassis was robust, it was approaching its weight limit when fitted with heavier weapons and armor. The design represented a compromise between the need for a powerful self-propelled anti-tank gun and the constraints of wartime production capacity. The Jagdpanzer IV was first deployed in 1944 and quickly appeared on all 3 of Nazi Germany's main fronts, the Western, Eastern, and Ardennes fronts. As a key anti-tank self-propelled gun, its low profile and powerful firepower, especially in the L-70 variant, enabled it to perform effectively in ambush and defensive roles. In Normandy, the Jagdpanzer IV L-48 fought alongside Panzer and Waffen SS units, notably the 12th SS Panzerjäger Battalion of the Hitlerjugend Division. The vehicle operated in bocage terrain using familiar hit-and-run tactics. While it inflicted significant losses on Canadian armored forces, the German units, including the Jagdpanzer IV, suffered heavy casualties due to the overwhelming air superiority and firepower of the Allies. During the Winter Ardennes Offensive of 1944, the L-70 versions of the Jagdpanzer IV were again deployed. Their long gun and high armor-piercing capability caused significant losses to American Sherman tanks. However, their heavy weight, limited mobility, and lack of a turret made them less effective in urban and muddy, snowy terrain. While they made an impact in several battles, they could not alter the strategic balance due to the vast difference in forces. On the Eastern Front, the Jagdpanzer IV was widely present in the final stages of the war, particularly in East Prussia and Kurland. The L-70 variant proved effective in countering Soviet T-34, 85, and IS-2 tanks. However, despite their effectiveness, the overwhelming death in numbers of the Red Army eventually pushed back the German forces, including those equipped with Jagdpanzer IVs. The Jagdpanzer IV is a prime example of how technology and military doctrine were shaped by circumstances. As an anti-tank self-propelled gun, it clearly showcases the capabilities of German industry in creating an effective and formidable weapon even under increasingly difficult conditions. Its excellent ambush capability, powerful firepower, and low profile made the Jagdpanzer IV a genuine threat on the battlefield, especially when used with the right tactics. However, the design compromises, especially in the L-70 variant, along with the strategic and production pressures towards the end of the war, limited its real-world effectiveness. When forced into roles it was not ideally suited for, such as direct assault or infantry support in urban environments, the Jagdpanzer IV's strengths were no longer its defining advantage. Though it could not alter the course of the war, the Jagdpanzer IV still holds an important place in the history of armored warfare. It reflects the intersection of tactical needs, industrial capacity, and the practical limits of war. A good vehicle in a strategic context that no longer led to victory. Debates over its effectiveness and design compromises continue to draw attention in modern military studies,